Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I would very much like to continue on with our journey, our discussions, our discoveries, and our explorations with respect to the recent releases made by the Criterion Collection during this year of 2022. And I'd like to continue and indeed conclude our discussions with respect to this really brilliant release from Criterion at spine number 1163, this 3-disc Blu-ray set, which is called Michael Haneke Trilogy. And so it has been my great pleasure and great honor, in fact, to have been able to share with you some comments about these incredibly thought-provoking works from this one of the great masters of cinema in today's cinema landscape. That is, of course, the one, the only Michael Haneke. And the films, of course, being The Seventh Continent, Benny's Video, and 71 Fragments of a Chronology of Chance, which are all part of this so-called trilogy, Michael Haneke Trilogy. So this has been a journey that is of films that are very intense, that are very, as I say, thought-provoking, and that challenge and provoke their viewers into trying to confront various, say, truths or various, say, aspects of society or living, intimacy, psychology, human emotion, interactions with others, maybe peer pressure, financial pressure or commitments, and also the way in which externalities and externalities and those feelings that are internal, they may or may not be so separate as one might hope or think they might be. And so this has various ramifications in terms of one's place vis-a-vis society, one's place vis-a-vis one's culture, one's place vis-a-vis history and country, etc., and current events, and the sweep of, say, media landscape, violence, and crime, and how close or how far away that is, the idea of the traversing of distance and alienation that could be at the heart of, say, societal woes and troubles. Really, that could be one of the hypotheses, at least, posited by works in this particular canon of films from Haneke, as well as other possibilities of readings and interpretations that I think are all on full display in terms of the prowess and breadth and scope of these very powerful films, each in its own way, powerful and distinct and unique, while also sharing a sense of, say, the thematic continuity, or a sense of maybe the cinematically philosophical and the viewpoint and perspective and the storytelling technique of the one, the only Michael Haneke. And those, of course, once again, the films being The Seventh Continent, Benny's Video, and 71 Fragments of a Chronology of Chance. So these films have been part of our discussion over the course of these past videos because they are the subject of this really great set. And so today what I'd like to do is I'd like to conclude our discussion just talking about aspects of the packaging itself, also talking about the essay, and then some final comments about this. So I should mention that this is in this plastic casing situation, and the plastic casing, when you open it up, reveals 3 discs, so 2 discs that are housed in this layering format on this side and 1 disc on this side, and the booklet would be housed in this fashion on this side of the inside of the plastic casing. I know some people prefer plastic casing over digipacks. I know other people prefer digipacks over plastic casing. So if you like the plastic casing, then this release is for you. And so I have no, say, a strict preference of one over the other, although I must say that I do like the digipack casing. So but that's okay, because the plastic casing does serve these films very well, and it also has, in an interesting way to it, also is very consistent, or it has a sense of unity, one can say, or thematic unity in terms of the presentation or packaging motif that is part of this design. I love this design, by the way, in terms of the front cover and the font and the use of it, and a type of way in which it seems to be presenting Haneke's works in this type of how should they put it, for lack of a better phrase, cold clinical fashion. Although I must circle the word cold, because I want to get to that word when you get to the essay, because there's a very interesting way in which the phrase cold might be upended when one is taking a reconsideration of the works of Haneke, especially in the context of the trilogy. But in any event, maybe cold isn't the right word, but maybe clinical and precise, I think, are words that are apropos here. And I like too the choice of pictures. We have various pictures here, each of which is depicting, as those of you who know the films can back me up on, they have pictures from each of the films themselves that form part of the trilogy. So I like this style indeed. I should point out the artwork here is credited to art director Sarah Habibi, Eric Skillman, designer Eric Skillman. So I like this very much. I should say too that this font choice and this color scheme, and also the way in which the pictures are highlighted, is indicated further when we get to this great booklet. Now, it's a stable booklet, which means it's a lot of pages, and so robust writings abound, which is my cup of tea indeed. Now, I've mentioned before, but the booklet starts with little write-ups on each of the films, so a little write-up on the films themselves, as well as the cast and crew breakdown. So we have the previous pages being for The Seventh Continent, now being for Benny's Video, and then following up with a section on 71 Fragments of a Chronology of Chance. And then after that, we have an essay. This is by John Ray, and it's called The Alienation Effect. And this essay is really, it's organized so splendidly. It's an overall comprehensive essay on each of the films. So we have, my strong suggestion is watch all of the films in this trilogy first, and then you can read this brilliant essay by John Ray, The Alienation Effect. But I say it's brilliantly organized because it does talk about each of the films as a sort of comprehensive whole, the trilogy as a comprehensive whole, but it also, the essay is nicely divided up into sections. So you can go straight to the section on, say, Benny's Video. You can go straight to the section on, say, 71 Fragments of a Chronology of Chance, etc. But also get a sense of type of thematic unity between and among these three works as he frames it. And also as he frames it in the context of the Haneke filmography writ large. So he does mention other works that are very, very key. So in that way, we have this brilliant setup in this brilliant essay that covers so much ground, while also being very comprehensive indeed, while also being very, very cleverly structured. So I enjoy this very much. Also, great points that are made about certain, say, ways in which one can consider the works of Haneke, which is why I was struggling earlier in this discussion about the word cold. I think, on the one hand, I could say for me personally, it was very tempting for me to, prior to going into this, say, Criterion release, it was very tempting for me to go into the works of Haneke with the idea or the adjective cold in my head to describe Haneke. And that's probably how I might have described his works. I don't mean that in any disparaging way or negative way. I mean that in a very complimentary way. But that's how I might have described his works prior to, say, reading this essay by John Ray. But now there's a great way in which this essay argues in a very persuasive way how, in fact, one can say that Haneke's works aren't cold at all. They're, in fact, very emotional, and they have a certain heartbeat to them. There is a humanity that's on display that could be said to be the total opposite of quote-unquote coldness. And so I find that argument to actually very, very compelling indeed. And as I think back to my revisits, my re-explorations of these films that I had seen many times before, Seventh Continent, Benny's Video, and 71 Fragments of a Chronology of Chance, I can recognize that indeed Haneke's cinema in each of these examples, and indeed showing us the humanity, the core humanity of these people, and their, say, choices and their maybe their frailties, also their yearnings, their desires, their strong family bonds. I mean, there is a sense of love and affection and connection between and among a number of these characters that we meet. And in fact, it could be said that it is this love and affection that could be one of a number of reasons that the characters choose to do the things that they do. So in that way, that type of focus, Haneke's films can therefore could be said to be anything but cold. So therefore, I would maybe refrain myself personally, maybe not use the word cold if I try to describe his works, but rather focus on the humanity that's on display. And so I learned that point as part of my own, say, reassessment or my own exploration of the works of Haneke, at least in the context of this great, great trilogy. So thank you very much to the essayist for that particular point, one of many examples. Also, there is a sense, too, of this idea, this concept about how maybe Haneke's films are perhaps designed in a way to maybe antagonize the viewer or maybe frustrate the viewer. And one can have the sense of maybe this antagonistic nature or maybe frustration inherent even in these works of the trilogy. However, another point that the essayist makes, which I think is very compellingly made indeed, is that it could be said that Haneke really cares for the viewer. Haneke really wants to show a sense of a directness of truth. And it's this directness of truth, the boldness in his, almost the audacity in wanting to be so direct in showing the truth to his audience, could be said to be, it's in Haneke's own way, his way of trying to be affectionate to his audience members, which I think is a really compelling point as well. And also it shows that, and the essayist, I think, points this out very effectively too, which is this idea of not trying to, quote unquote, sugarcoat the things that are happening, not trying to hide certain things or not trying to evade, but rather present everything, present things as they are. Of course, done in certain cinematic stylings, that's for sure. But still presented, those concepts are presented there. That's without question. So this is the idea of sort of the expression of a love or admiration for one's audience is the endeavor to express truth via cinema. And so that type of mission statement is so apropos of Michael Haneke in the context of the trilogy, these three films, as well as his other films that I have seen. And so in that way, I am now, it's almost this recalibration of his works to see it from this viewpoint of a sense of humanism and a sense of sort of emotional depth and core, and also a sense of a type of admiration and love and affection for his audience, which I think is very, very important. There's a sense, therefore, of showing, even where what is being shown can be quite unsettling indeed. This act of showing is a very powerful and indeed very positive act. So these and other points, I think, are reasons why this essay is top notch. What a great essay this is. I love this essay. Please check it out if you can. Once again, watch the films first. All three films. Watch the three films first, and then after you've seen the films, you can then read this brilliant, wonderful essay. Once again, it's here. It's called The Alienation Effect. It is by John Ray. Again, part of this great staple booklet insert that's part of this release, Michael Haneke trilogy from the Criterion collection. So, my dear friends, that's it as far as a brief discussion of these films go, at least in the context of this release. But of course, releases like this are wonderful because they can allow for further entry, further re-entry, rediscovery, re-examination, reassessment, re-exploration. So, release like this, I hope that for those who have it, you can watch the films and then rewatch them and rewatch them and rewatch them, and then consider the supplements, and maybe those can be jumping off points for other places to go, either in the Haneke filmography or other places to go in terms of a study or exploration or further engagement with works and writings and considerations and discussions about the films of Michael Haneke, including those that can be found in this release, Michael Haneke trilogy. All right, my dear friends, so that's it for now. And so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well. And please keep on watching a lot of great movies. So until we see each other at the next videos, please stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.